Giulia, and today we're going to make a staple of the Italian cooking, which is egg noodles. I know a lot of people know how to make them. I know they're out there. You can buy them already made, which is most of the times they're pretty good too. Again, one of the reasons why I want to leave it for posterity, for my children, for my grandchildren, in case they want to do something at home. Years ago, not actually, a couple of years ago, I gave my daughter a pasta machine, and she's dying to learn how to use it and make things with it. So, okay, so today this is what we're going to do. This way, whenever she's ready to do it, she can just look me up and do it. All right, so we're going to use a mix of semolina flour and regular flour. It's 2 cups altogether. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm making it just enough for about 4 people. Okay, so, and you could use just regular flour. You could use all semolina. It's how, semolina actually helps make the dough more resilient and actually lighter. And so a lot of people use that. But with the regular flour, just flour, it'll be just as good. Maybe not as good, but good enough. Okay, we're going to try to use, I'm going to put it on the board. I'm going to finish mixing it. And we're going to start with 2 eggs. If that's not enough, we'll add some more. It might have to be just half of the egg, just the yolk, we'll see. But I'm going to put maybe half a teaspoon of salt into the dough. Okay, so now we're going to start with the eggs. And that you should need just that. You're not supposed to use water. So that's it. It's just a very simple, straightforward kind of thing. Okay, it's 2 eggs. We're gonna just kind of mix them. If you have to make a lot of it, usually if I have to do like for 10 people, 12 people, and I have to make 4 cups of flour, I'll use my mixer. But this is such a little bit that it's not even worth to get that in the middle of the house. So, and this is not hard to do because it doesn't need to be worked out that much. You just have to really kind of get it together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rest it for about a half hour, and then we will be able to make the dough. I mean the noodles. It's kind of a sticky. That's the only thing with egg noodles. Slowly, we'll try to get it off my hand, and we'll start working it a little bit. Now it seems like it's a little bit dry. We might need some more egg. Yep, we might actually need a whole another egg. And actually, what they say is, when you do this kind of dough, it's actually better if it's a little softer, because when you put it in the machine to get it, to make the noodles, you can help yourself with a little bit of flour. But if it's too hard, it never seems to get it right. So, depending on the flour you use, and then maybe the fact that I'm using the semolina, which requires a little bit more liquid. So I've used now 3 eggs, and this should be enough. Okay. Sometimes you have extra large eggs, so you have jumbo eggs. I'm using large eggs, so that might be one of the reasons. It doesn't matter. Like I said, if you need, you can always add. Okay. See, it's coming along really good. Try to get all the flour. Help yourself with a scraper, or if you don't have it, use a spatula. Okay, this is almost all together. A couple of more. Till it gets all absorbed. And we should be good to go. And this is it. I'm just gonna wrap it up in a piece of plastic wrap. Actually, I'm just gonna put it back in that bowl, cover it, and we let it rest. And while this rests, we're gonna do the sauce to go with it. Okay. Okay, so now that we're waiting for the dough to rest so that we can put it through the machine, we're gonna do the sauce. So what you're gonna need is some prosciutto. I used about 4 slices of prosciutto because for 4 people, that should be enough. We don't want to exaggerate with the prosciutto. It's pretty salty. So if you think you put in more and it's gonna taste better, you might be surprised and you might be sorry. Anyway, I have like maybe a tablespoon worth of shallots, a little bit of salt, cream, and some pureed, about maybe you don't even need all this, but a good cup of pureed peeled tomatoes, some olive oil, and we're going to start with the oil. We're going to put it in the pan. So as you can see, I'm getting warmed up the pan a little bit, just about maybe 2 tablespoons of oil. You don't need too much. And I'm going to put the shallots in. I'm going to let them saute a little bit. Then we're going to add the prosciutto. The prosciutto, we're just going to barely just get the flavor of the onions, and then we're going to put the sauce in it. We don't want to get it too cooked because then it'll be very hard. So what we want to do is just give it a little bit of a flavor. And the prosciutto, I just basically made strips of them, and I'm going to start adding it so that it doesn't get all sticks together. So I'm trying not to put it all up one bunch. And it's a tin one. Tin prosciutto is the one we buy to make sandwiches or to eat, so it's not going to take long at all. This is a sauce that I've made for family and friends, an impromptu dinner or holidays, whatever. And everybody seems to go crazy, even though it's a pretty simple sauce. It doesn't take very long, and it's just so tasty. Okay, see, that's already kind of, we don't want to get too dry. So now what we're going to do is just put the tomatoes in. Let that cook for about 10 minutes. I think that's plenty. So for 4 people, just think about the fact that I put maybe a cup of tomatoes pureed. Again, you just, and salt. I'm not going to add the salt right now because of the prosciutto being salty. And if you need it, you can always add it a little later. I'm going to check and see if it needs a little liquid. If it does, we can add a little broth or a little bit of water. I might add some broth just to make it so it doesn't get too thick. We'll see. We'll let it cook for a few minutes and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, it seems to be kind of thick, so I took out some, maybe a 1/4 cup of chicken broth that I had. And I'm just going to add it so that it'll allow the sauce to cook a little bit. without being too dry. You can also add some white wine if you like. I've done that, so don't be afraid. Whatever you think that it's gonna make it taste better. Okay, so we're gonna add some pepper. Sorry. And like I said, in a little bit we'll try the sauce, we taste it and see if we actually need salt. If we do, then we'll add it. Otherwise, we'll just let it go. We'll just finish it cooking it the way it is. Okay. This is going to cook maybe another 5 to 8 minutes. And then we should be able to put the cream in it. Okay, it's been cooking for about 5 minutes, a little bit more. Let's see how the sauce. To me right now it's good enough on salt, so we shouldn't put any more. Okay, so now we ready to add the cream to it. Just about a cup. Okay, and we'll let it go again 5 minutes, whatever it takes to thicken it up a little. As you saw before, I didn't add any more liquid to the red sauce because the cream made it pretty liquidy. So we're just going to wait for that to make it, the cream will thicken up a little bit. Okay, and this should be it. Okay, so this seems to be almost ready. Like maybe a couple more minutes. We'll check on salt again. See if, yeah, I think it's still good. I don't think it needs any more salt. So this is it. The sauce is ready, basically. And we'll just shut it off. And when the pasta is ready, we'll just add it on. Okay. All right, so we're ready to get the dough on the machine. What you want to do is have some flour available because it's going to be sticky. And you want to put some dough. So you cut one little piece at a time. You don't want to get too ambitious and put too much of it and it's going to be a mess. So what I do is I just put a little flour on it like this, and you put the number on the machine and the very thickest one, number 1. So then you start getting, you know what? Okay, so you go a couple of times, and if you feel the dough is still kind of sticky, keep putting a little flour on. Don't be afraid, it's not going to hurt. So you go like 2-3 times on number 1, and then you switch to number 2, and you go a couple of times on number 2. At this point now, this is way too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in kind of 3 pieces. Oh, this is not the right knife. And this way when we put it in the other part, so you can just leave it out like that, and if it gets a little dry, it's actually even better. So you keep going, you know, until you exhaust all the pasta. Okay, so once you have all your dough in strips like this, this is the attachment for it, or you can cut them by hand. There's nothing wrong by cutting them by hand. This is just a little faster and a little bit more even. A lot of times what I do is actually do what they call the maltagliati, and what you do is you just fold the dough like this, and you cut it, and it doesn't have to be even. Actually, it's got to be wider, and that's also an awesome kind of pasta. So whatever you like. I've made bow ties with this kind of pasta, cut them little strips like this, and then you just kind of pinch them together, whatever is your fancy. You can do whatever you want. So this is just one way to do it. And if the dough is sticky, just make sure you put some flour as you go. If not, you know, you don't have to, obviously. Today, this dough is actually perfect. It's nice and dry, doesn't need much of anything. And we're gonna cook it right away, so that makes it even easier. And you keep going until you get all your noodles. Okay, there we go. And it'll get done. Okay. Okay. And we're ready to dump the noodles in there. They're not gonna take long, so just don't go anywhere. Okay, so the beautiful egg noodles are ready. Just gonna need a nice sprinkle of cheese, whatever cheese you like. Parmesan is usually the master in the kitchen, and ready to eat. I hope you enjoy making it, even more eating it. Until the next time, see you.